Hi, guys. This is the Work Your Money podcast with host Michelle Wong, and I have a great guest, very sophisticated entrepreneur. I know him for a little bit, and now he's coming back with a vengeance with, I would say he's a triple threat. My guest, John August.
How's everybody doing? Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, everybody, for bringing me out, and thank you again for the opportunity.
No, I thank you for being on my show. And like I said, we've known each other for, I think, I would say like a couple of years.
Yes, a couple of years now.
Yeah, and we kind of lost touch for a bit. He was doing his thing, I was doing mine. What basically got us together was real estate.
Yes.
I think you reached out to me through
LinkedIn.
LinkedIn.
Right.
See, that was one of the things, and this is just a testimony of how LinkedIn really is a great tool.
Yes.
To connect with people.
Definitely.
I've definitely have done a lot of collaborations, joint ventures, projects, and things like that through LinkedIn.
Yes.
And it's really a great place to connect. On a professional standpoint.
Yes,
you can connect with Facebook, but I think for me personally, I don't know about everybody else because it varies for people, but LinkedIn overall is a great tool to connect on a professional standpoint, more so than Facebook. I think Facebook, if you're already connected through LinkedIn and you want to kind of connect with someone more on that level of becoming friends, then Facebook would be the place to kind of do that.
I agree. Yeah, it's like a different crowd. LinkedIn is like, it's definitely more networking, professional people. I think Facebook is more like, more social on the social side.
Yeah.
People, with their families linking together.
Yeah.
If, people from all over the world trying to connect, and people that I already knew other people from like high school or from before. So LinkedIn is like great for professional networking more so.
Yeah, no, definitely. Just quickly before we get started with your interview here, I'm super excited. LinkedIn, yes, there's a lot of benefits. Profile is like your resume. So people can definitely, you say, hey, go to my LinkedIn. That right there is your resume.
Yes.
That kind of verifies everything.
Yes.
The other thing too is that you can put articles up. That gives you recognition.
Yep.
The more articles that you put up, the more you're recognized amongst your LinkedIn colleagues in the public, and you kind of level yourself as an expert per se.
Correct.
By getting that visibility, you get recommendations from people. It's also the same thing as if you have a resume and you have like a referral system. If people see that you have, recommendations from people that are in your group, that's another tool. So, definitely utilize that. I say it all the time. LinkedIn is my best friend because it's one of the greatest places to make connections. So now let's get to the meat and bones of this interview. John.
Yes.
Let the audience know about yourself. Tell us about your background.
Okay, well, where do I start? Well, as you know, my name is John August. I'm from Brooklyn, New York, born and raised in the Flatbush section. Just grew up doing all types of different things. I never knew what I really wanted to do when I got to college. I actually went to college for law at first, and that was due to family members forcing me to go to school for different things or whatever they wanted me to do, and I wasn't ready yet at the time. So it took me a couple of years until I got into a couple different things, and I got into real estate, but not on the agent side. Actually, it was on the investing side. So I had a couple different aspects of where I had different cash buyers and buyers of sorts of properties, and I would have to go out there and find different sellers of properties who were not listed with agents. So that was my first taste of real estate, and I was really young. I was like 18, 19, doing that. And I was like, wow, this is I'm really in this. And then actually a couple of years later, through networking, through things like LinkedIn, through things like Facebook a little bit, social media, just learning more about real estate, I actually found out about the agent side of it. I'm like, okay, maybe I should try the agent side. And that was about 2 years ago. And I actually failed my state test. I passed my final exam with like a 95, and I failed my state test. And then they don't tell you your score, so I got discouraged from that. And then I just didn't go for it anymore. I was doing a couple other things, a couple little odd jobs. And now I came back into it this past April, and I actually passed my state test again. So I mean, for the first time. So that just shows you that when you persevere and you stay determined, it can get you places that as long as you believe it and you just keep at it. So now I'm an agent. I've been an agent for it's about to be 6 months at the end of the month. So I'm doing that. And actually I took some of the commissions I had from real estate, and I started my own clothing line as well, which is labeled WIA, short for Where You At. So I'm starting that clothing line, and WIA is also a double meaning to it, because obviously Where You At, which is like the social meaning of it, the abbreviation, but what I also have it to stand for is basically representing people like me and Michelle, and all other types of people who have the mindset of trying to get from point A to point B, no matter what the situation is. So it's for people with a lot of self-motivation, a lot of perseverance. So when somebody calls you and say, where you at, you're on the move, and things like that. So that's why I created that.
Okay. So, I'm going to recap a few things that you just mentioned.
Yes.
One, I can totally feel you in regards to appeasing your family. Mm-hmm. I had that same situation. Now, you come from like a Hispanic family, right?
Yeah, I'm mixed. I'm a lot of different things, yeah, but half Hispanic, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like how I was brought up.
Mm-hmm.
I came from an Asian Hispanic background. Both my parents are actually like my dad is part Dominican, part Chinese.
Nice.
Then my mom is all Dominican. And the twist of this is that they have a background of They both have Italian ancestry.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because my mom's great grandfather came from Italy with 2 cousins, and on my father's side, his great I think 3 greats and a grandfather also came from Italy.
Oh, wow.
And so that the last name is still there. Mm-hmm. Between the families. Like my mom's side is the Costanzos, and on my father's side is the Rufino.
Wow.
So that name is still relevant. It's still there. But the whole dynamics of how the Hispanic household is that they want their kids to be professionals, and mm-hmm. the fact that both sides of my family, but more so on my mother's side, mm-hmm. they're all professionals. Mm-hmm. Either they're entrepreneurs, business owners, or they're like attorneys,
yes.
Architects, this
mm-hmm.
and that. So it's very important to them that their kids go to college, yes. and have a profession, because profession means something to them.
Yes.
Now the thing is that when I was 6 years old, I remember this. When I was 6 years old, because I was, to this day, I'm still a nerd by heart. I'm a nerdy kid. I've always been like that. And one of the things that I loved to do was I was always into reading. Like I always loved mm-hmm. to read about biology, psychology, astrology, things like that. That's, and now that I'm older, I'm more into like history, psychology, and all of the other stuff.
Nice.
But I had a fascination with biology and all of this other stuff. Mm-hmm. And I had my Christmas present was a microscope set.
Oh,
So I had a microscope set. I had little slides and everything else, and I would go and get little things to create my little slides so I can look through it. And the science fair, any science fair, social science, like social science.
Right, of course.
What was the other? There were 3 subjects that they had little fairs for.
Yeah.
And I would do these presentations, and I would win first place, second place.
Wow, you bringing back memories right
Yeah, so that was but this is old school. This is not how it was back in the day. It was, when I say old school, you're talking about in the 1980s, 1990s, where you didn't have technology how it is now, that you can Google something and can, just come up and, get your references there. This is books, and I still have those books, like the encyclopedias, the Encyclopedia Britannica, all the other old school books or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's like my room literally looks like a library, and I still have books in storage.
Wow.
And it's it's unbelievable. And sometimes I have company over, I have friends or family, whatever, and they see this and like, damn, you still have books. I still have books. Look, and I have my other side of the closet full of books and stuff, and I still have other books in storage.
Wow.
So, if I ever get a bigger place, it would literally be like a library.
Wow.
And I would love to be able to do that, to just put all my books and have a library where, if I ever have kids, be able to go and have a place to,
course, that's beautiful. That's a great way to pass down knowledge.
Yeah, but
I just want to let you know. I mean, you're saying old school, but I went through the same thing. I mean, I'm only 24, but we grew up when I grew up in the late 90s, we had the when you had the, for example, the science fairs, we had the cardboard, we had to research everything. Yeah, I mean, I had to do that. I went through that.
So so now I don't feel that bad.
We went through that. We went through that. There was no Google like that back then.
And just recently, I went to the store. This is so funny. I went to Michael's where they have the oak tag, and the oak tag now comes folded. Yeah. Like you can. Right. They didn't have that back in the day. I had to take the tape and tape that thing. I had to take the 3 pieces of oak tag, cut it and tape it myself.
Oh, okay.
And it was just I had a volcano. One time I did a volcano.
I did that too. I had that too.
I got a little bit of help with my dad at the time, but we created this volcano made out of clay and stuff like that. And I don't know if you know that if you take baking soda and vinegar,
I did all of
that makes it fizzle.
I did all
so
that.
I did that.
Yep,
I did the heart diorama.
Wow.
I did for the science fair. I did I think it was World War III, but it was concentrated in Russia, and I actually did a little diorama of that with. I had to do these Nerf ball things, and it was crazy.
Wow.
It was crazy, and I still, I still have some of it to this day.
You're really bringing back memories right now. I mean, this is crazy.
But we kind of got sidetracked here, but I totally feel you with that. And getting back to what we were talking about, this whole thing about the Hispanic culture they're very adamant. You have to be a professional, whatever. But basically, my passion at the time, because when you're a kid, you get interested in so many things, and sometimes you concentrate more on one thing than another. But it doesn't necessarily mean that that's what you're going to stick by when you get older. So what happened was, I was so into the whole science thing, anything biology, physiology, and all of that. I got so interested in all of that, and one day I said, hey, you know what? When I grow up, I want to be a doctor. Oh my God, did that that stick? My mom, my grandmother, and everybody was like, "Oh my God, this is a doctor." Blah blah blah.
Exactly.
I think I am smart, in a sense where, as a kid, even my aunt to this day, she's always talking about it, how I read, or I would have my homework, and I'm the type of person that I like to get things done. I don't want to procrastinate. I just like to get the stuff done. So. If I had homework, projects, whatever, I just concentrated, got it done, so I had time to do whatever else I wanted to do. So they kind of put that on me, and they said, oh, she's going to be a doctor. She's going to be a doctor. And that was until, I got into college. And then, the stresses of being in college where you have to take double, I wouldn't say double major. That was in high school. I would take like double classes of science and math in high school, calculus, geometry, and all this other stuff. And that was just the beginning of being in a stressful situation. So then when I got into college, because I actually wanted to take a year off, because it was just like nonstop, trying to, get to that point. But I needed to kind of like clear my head a little bit.
Got it.
But, it kind of changed things for me, because like, I was like, oh, you crazy. Why are you going to do that? You should just go to school, get it done, get it over with, blah, blah, blah. And I did. And I was taking I was taking biology. I was taking psychology. I was taking chemistry. I was taking physics, plus the labs.
Wow, man.
That takes a toll. You don't have a.
I'm getting tired just listening to that.
And then you also have to bear in mind that when you're in college, you also want to have a good time,
Of
because
course.
You're trying to live.
These are the best years.
Yeah. So basically, that's what it was. And I kid you not, like I was a little bit of a loner per se when I was in high school. Like I had friends, like I had my circle of friends, but I was always the type of person that I did my own thing. I didn't have to follow anybody. I didn't need it to fit with the crowd. I just did my thing. And a lot of the times, because of that, people will follow me in a sense, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely.
And that was always the case. So when I got into college, it was kind of a little bit different. I became like the popular person in school, getting invited to parties and stuff.
Excuse me.
And then it just kind of changed from there. So
what college was this?
St. Peter's University.
Okay.
So I was there. Then this is what went down. I changed majors because I was like, I can't do this. I have to.
You saw from early on.
So I got into psychology.
Nice.
Psychology has always been a passion for me. So I took psychology. I got really interested. I said, you know what? Maybe I can be either a psychologist or a psychiatrist. Now, the difference between the two is that the psychiatrist can prescribe medication to their patients, as to a psychologist cannot. So the psychologist goes to school, they get the PhD. A psychiatrist goes to actual medical school because they have to know how the mind works, and how the medication and all of that affects the brain, behavior and all of that. So that was the difference between the two.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So now you fast forward, circumstances happen. My mom had an accident, blah, blah, blah. Then I was like, I was still in the medical field. I was doing billing. I was doing some other stuff. Then, I left school, got back in 2011 or 2012. I got in. Then I said, you know what, maybe I become a physician assistant because I'm getting older. 4 years of medical school, this and that. Then from that, I actually went and took the MCAT, and I was able to get into medical school.
Wow.
So then I was kind of put in a place where real estate was always an interest to me. Business was always an interest to me as well. And that kind of lingered in the back of my mind because when I was in my 20s, I did go and do the same thing. I took the real estate course. I said, this is before, when it was only 45 hours. So that was like back in the day, like in 2002
Lucky.
or something like that. And then I never went to take the test. Fast forward, I said, you know what? I should try real estate because, that what if factor.
Yes,
so
definitely.
I went back, took the class, passed it, took the test, passed it.
Nice.
And I said, you know what?
Never look back.
The medical background, see ya. Peace out.
Peace out.
And that's the thing. That's where it landed me. That's one thing. The other thing that you were mentioning about the whole like not being able to pass and get discouraged. Never be discouraged about something. All of us at some point in time had to do something twice. It doesn't mean that you failed at anything. It's just that the timing wasn't right to do it. I've had situations where, I'll give you an example. My driving test, I was already I just turned 18. I went to take the driving exam, and it was the same day as the prom. So I didn't practice. I wasn't able to practice. I was too busy getting my hair done, getting the nails done, like girls get ready for the prom.
Right.
And, I went to take the test and I didn't pass it. And I felt horrible.
Oh, wow.
18-year-old at the time, you're feeling like it's the end of the world and all of that. Right. And then, they said, come back in a couple of weeks and take the test again. And from there, I went to the prom, did my thing and all of that. And then right after, I started to have like anxiety, because it was like, damn, what happens if I don't if I don't pass it? So the night before of taking, to do the whole the driving exam, the whatever it is it's called, I couldn't sleep, because in my mind all I was doing is how you do the parallel parking.
Right.
That was the only thing I did bad, was the parallel parking, because I think I went into too soon. And it was on the left side, and I'm so, how like you're good at certain things, like the left side I had issues with, but the right side I'm good with. So then it was one of those things. And
some people still don't know how to do it on the left side.
No, but the whole concept was, it was like I could not sleep. All I was visualizing in my mind is imagining myself doing the parallel parking, and I kept playing it over in my mind until the following day. I went in and I just kind of like said, okay, let's just do this. And that's what happens. Like, you get all hyped up psychologically, but when it comes to the point that you have to do it, it's like, it's like you have to suck it up in a sense and say, okay, let's just do this. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And usually when you have that mindset where it's like you're at that point that you're ready to kind of like put that fight, but not really, getting all anxious. It's like, okay, like let's just get it done. That's where that thing kicks in, and then it's like your mind starts to go on overdrive, and you get it done. Wow. I don't know if that happened to you when you did that.
A lot of times.
But when you did the test the second time, was it like?
Actually, well, I was just saying that just to sound good, but actually, you failed the test a couple more times. I failed it twice again.
Yeah, but you know what? This is my point. My point is, despite how many times you got back up and you went and got it done.
Right.
And that's the most important thing. Right. Some people get so discouraged and they say, you know what, later for this and later for that. No. Just go and keep doing it until it's done.
Yes.
Michael Jordan.
Yes.
Michael Jordan, originally when he was in high school, they thought that he wasn't good enough to play in the team.
You're taking it back. You're taking it back on.
No, but I'll give you examples of people that have quote unquote failed, and they're the most successful people out there.
Yes.
But I'm going to give you an example.
Okay.
He himself has said, people say, oh, he's the greatest basketball player, in our time. There's a couple of other basketball. You have LeBron James. You have what's his name? Carmelo Anthony. Don't kill me, people, because I don't follow sports like that.
I think they're gonna kill you for that one. Yeah.
But whoever you talk to, they'll tell you who they consider to be great players.
Of course.
You have quite a few great.
Yes, quite a few.
And you can't compare one with the other.
Right.
It's during their era.
Yes.
Those were. These are the great players,
Correct.
in their own given right. Now, Michael Jordan is one of the well-known ones, because his career has been for over 20-something years. He was like playing and doing all this stuff. But if he was not persistent in pushing it through, we would not hear of Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
Who is Michael Jordan. That would have been through our minds right now. But that's the point that I'm trying to say. Like, okay, you didn't get it done the first time, the second time, the third time, but you have to keep getting back up and keep fighting and keep doing your thing. Michael Jordan himself said, I wasn't one of the better players. I didn't get picked on the team. I had to practice because they wouldn't allow me to go in.
Yes.
I think at one point he wasn't tall enough, and I think the second time it wasn't that he wasn't as good, so he practiced and practiced and practiced until they finally gave him a chance and said, okay, you can come in.
Exactly.
And then from there, he just kept honing his skills, and look at where he is now. He's one of the legends in basketball.
Yeah.
And he said, it's not just him. There's quite other people that are in the, that are athletes. You have entertainers, you have musicians, you have people in business. Oprah Winfrey was one. She had the door slammed in her face consistently. Why? Because they didn't think she was the ideal look for journalism.
She didn't fit into that mold at the time.
And she had to go through a lot of hardships in order to get to where she needed to get to.
Definitely.
And there was a few people that actually supported her, backed her up, and said, you know what, don't listen to what people have to say. Just do what you need to do. And she kept, she kept going through everything. And look at her now. She's one of the wealthiest women, on television. And this woman is an icon.
Yes.
She's known for her journalism. Anything she touches to gold. So that's another prime example. And I can tell you of a couple of other people that that have, I wouldn't call it failure. And that was one of the things that one of the other people that I interviewed previously a couple weeks ago. He says, I don't like saying failure. It's more like maybe obstacles or something. It's not failures. These are just things that you weren't able to do well enough at the moment because the timing wasn't right. And you had to keep going and getting it until the timing was perfect, and then you can go and do that. And that's just the bottom line. People don't seem to realize that anything that you go through now and you think that might be a setback or whatever the case is not. It's really the timing. It's God's way of saying this, the timing is not right for you right now. Just be patient, and when the timing is right, you'll see that everything kind of falls into place.
So true.
And I, just as reason, I just told you before we got on that, I was in a dark place about like a month and a half ago. And I had to sit there and I say, all this stuff and why this, that, and that. And I got so discouraged. But at the end of the day, I had to sit there and I really had to take in everything. And then I figured God is trying to tell me that I need to start taking things a little bit slower and not go so quickly with everything. Take the journey and take the journey in accordance to the priority of what is important to you.
Wow.
And take it one thing at a time. And that's exactly what I'm doing now. I'm not trying to take on so many things. I'm just doing everything in accordance. And now everything kind of unraveling in its place.
And
so
pacing yourself.
Yeah. Another thing too is that the people around you.
You can speak on that as well. Another testament in the Bible. Keep going.
People that are around you are, when things are not in accordance, if they're around you when things are not going right and they're sticking by you, those are the ones that really are your friends, or truly are the people that have your back. And that was a testament to what happened to me a month and a half ago. Those people were there for me. I have my advisory board, God bless them. They're great women. They were there when I got all of this stuff together for the event, and then all of the things went down. I was stressed out, and they're like, listen, take the time to push it back. People would understand the situation with what you're going through right now, because I had an accident and whatever, and recovering, dealing with this, dealing with that. We're here. Whenever you're ready, we'll start, regrouping and doing the thing. And that's exactly what happened. And the people within my circle, I had to call them individually and tell them, listen, this is what going down. And, you know, they understood. So, again, it really comes down to you as a person really fighting for what you want, and the people that support you. The people that support you, those are the people that matter.
Yep.
The people that don't support you, out you go.
Irrelevant.
You know, you just have to dismiss it.
Cut
you have
them
to
off.
distance yourself from them.
Scissors.
And, you know, be like, peace, I'm out.
Peace out.
Just let it be.
Yeah, I agree.
That's exactly what you have to do when you're on your journey, on your path. You know. So,
man, amen to that. You know, I feel like I was in this like the third part of the Bible.
Yeah. But John, we talked about real estate.
Yes.
You are now on the flip side of things as an agent.
Yes.
What is your take on the whole real estate thing? Like, you know, what do you see different as an agent as to, you know, as an investor per se? Because the mentality is a little bit different. You have to shift your mindset when you're dealing with that. And also, do you also do both simultaneously? Like, do you still do like other business ventures with other people on, as you know, in the investment side?
Yes.
Like, tell us a little bit about that.
Well, just that last question you just said. Yes, I do actually do a couple venture partner or JVs with different investors, different investors I met along the way to become an agent. So before I was an agent, as you know, I was dealing with different projects and, you know, looking for different properties, off-market properties or properties that had potential for different investors that I had. Now I'm an agent. On the agent side, we have, you know, systems like the MLS and, you know, different routes that we can look at only as agents to see different properties that, you know, or different projects. So having that to my advantage, I can go back to my investors and find out ways to how we can connect. And actually, we're working on a rehab project right now with me and one of my previous investors that I met as a bird dog before I was an actual agent. So it coincides in that aspect as well. And also, to answer your first question, it is different on the agent side, just because, well, I mean, in a good way and a bad way. Well, now I wouldn't say bad way, just a different way. In a good way because as an agent, a lot of things, everything is by the book. So it's not too much of a lot of, you know, running around or people trying to go around you. If you papered up and you have different contracts and different agreements with certain people that's in the deal, then it will be hard for any of the side things that go on behind the scenes to even be possible. So on the agent side, you don't see that. On the investor side, you do see that because a lot of people are not agents. A lot of people think they know what they're doing. A lot of people are going around people, and it's really a shark mentality. So it's not regulated, so that's the main reason why, a lot of those things are going on. And don't get it twisted, on the agent side, there's a lot of different things that happen too as well. But, it's a lot more regulated, and it's a lot less, happening on that side as well.
No, yeah, I totally agree. Real estate is a funny creature per se, when you're dealing as an investor, as a real estate agent, and usually the way it works is that the real estate agents come in first as an agent, and then when they see the dynamics of the benefits of being a real estate investor, then they get into that, and then they see the mentality of what they're dealing with other investors, because the dynamics is different. You're not putting a property on market for 60,
retail, right?
Yeah, for retail for 60, 90 days. You're doing it at a shorter period of time, depending on the situation. Unless it's a short sale or something like that, then the process is a little bit longer. But overall, it's a factor where you're transitioning from one thing to another, and sometimes it's a little hard when you're you have to kind of switch caps depending on the situation that you're in.
All right.
So apart from the whole real estate thing, you also have a clothing line.
Yes.
That's like the more, I would say this is the more exciting of the ventures, because it's like I knew about the real estate thing from a while ago,
Right.
but then we came in touch and you were telling me about your new clothing line.
Yes.
So tell us about your new clothing line.
So like I said before, I have a new clothing line out about 2 weeks now. It's called WIA, short for Where You At. Basically representing people from getting to point A to point B on an everyday basis. Trying to make things better for them in their situation. So that's what it stands for. And the other abbreviation is Worldwide Young Attributors. So
okay.
That's another abbreviation I have for that.
That sounds so cool.
Yeah.
That's kind of like the abbreviation of the real estate media company that I have, the WIMP Group.
Oh, okay.
And if Willie is listening, he's going to be like, here we go again. The company, the real estate, it's kind of still a real estate investment company, but it's, as of the past year, it's more on the media side.
Oh, okay.
At
Nice.
some point I get things here and there on the investment side, but it's been more on the media. But basically what it means is the concept of what the podcast show is also stands for. It's Work Your Money. So
Work
the
Your Money.
WIM,
Nice.
WIM is Work Your Money.
I saw that before and I was like, wow, what does that stand for? That was a couple years ago. Wow,
No,
that's
originally it stand for the abbreviation of. It also was supposed to be the abbreviation of the business partners that were in place. So it was my last name, another business partner's last name, and another former business partner's last name. So then we were trying to think of how to name the company. So I was like, I want something that would be cool, but it also has a significance. So I was sitting and I'm like, what? And then I said WIM, and then I was like, well, that kind of represents the last name of each of the partners. And then I was like, but let's also have it significant to something else. So then I said, and I said, work your money. So then I just kind of threw it out there and I said, yeah, I know, because we know how to work, I kept saying, do you know how to work your money? And then that kind of stuck. So then I played it out with a couple of people and they're like, oh no, I like that. I said, so the WIM,
wow.
the WIM Group it is.
And it sounds strong. At the
Yeah,
same
no.
time.
Well, the concept is, because of the fact that originally it was a real estate investment company, and it was supposed to be that when you're doing investments, you want that money to work for you.
Definitely.
So that's where all of that came into place, and and then that unraveled into the podcast and all of that. But no, I really like that. I like the whole concept of the company. It's very fresh.
Thank you,
guys. Unfortunately, we were supposed to have someone recording this, live on video. To go on TV, but unfortunately that person not here. So what are you gonna do?
So good. We gotta work on money.
But we got pictures. We got pictures.
Yeah, of course.
No, it's a really cool design.
Okay.
It's relatable to the young demographic. What I mean by that is the young entrepreneurs, the millennials, the 30-somethings. I think it's a fresh look. And I'm super excited. I know that you're going to be putting a fashion video together in regards to showing your clothing line and all of that. So that would be cool. What was the other thing that I wanted to say to you? You also mentioned, apart from this wonderful clothing line, that you're also in the entertainment industry, that you're doing like TV and films and stuff like that. So tell us about that.
Just a little bit. So basically what I did, what I actually do now, I model a little bit of acting here and there. I was on Power season 5 or season 4 that just passed. I was on Power season 2. Just a little, small roles. I was in a couple feature films as well. just a couple TV shows here and there. As a model, I've done a couple campaigns. I did a campaign with Jimmy Jazz. I did a campaign with Century 21.
Wow.
A few weeks back. It's actually funny because Century 21, I'm thinking about that actual real estate company I'm thinking about switching to. So that's funny. So yeah, just here and there. Just managing my way through that way as well. So that's kind of different as well. Just maneuvering through that little world. It's a whole different world. So definitely, I'm still doing that. I actually got a shoot. Was it tomorrow? Oh no, that's next Saturday actually with a company called G Star. So I'm doing something with them.
Look at you.
Yeah.
On demand.
On demand.
On demand. That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
And how old are you again?
I just turned 24.
24. See, another millennial. See, I don't know. I attract all the millennials. It seems like I attract all the millennials. See, I'm proving my point here. No, in a more serious side, I think that there's mixed messages when it comes to age factor. I mean, there are some people that are older that have this thing where it's like, do I really take advice from someone that is younger than me in regards to experience? And it really depends on the person's, I guess, the person's experiences per se, like how they live life, if they've made a lot of mistakes, if they learned from a lot of mistakes. Those are kind of like what makes up people's experiences. So, I don't have relevance to people's ages. It really depends on how mature the person is, how they carry themselves, how they live life. That's what I take into consideration when it comes to taking advice from someone that's either younger or older. I don't necessarily gravitate to someone that is older than me per se, because there are some factors that there are some people that are older and they haven't really done much. They just kind of lived a very, was secure life, I would say, and they haven't really ventured out and done some stuff. So, and you're another person in that generation that's shown that that you're going out and getting your business and all of that, and just pursuing what your passion and your dream is. And I give a lot of respect to that. And there are some people that are older that are doing that as well, they're pursuing their dreams and stuff like that. So there's no give and say. Nobody is too young or too old to go out and do something, as long as they go out and they do it.
Right, exactly. So
that's very interesting that you are like now on demand as a model, as an actor. So that's great, and you have your clothing line in place. So like, let me ask you this: where do you see yourself in 5 years? Like if you can just like map things out, and you're thinking about your businesses and what you're doing right now, where do you see each individual business in 5 years?
Well, I mean, like I said, I like to have my hands in different pots. So, in 5 years, I would like to see my clothing line, taking off, and all types of people wearing it, and also giving back to the community as well. I actually do a lot of that as well in my own community in Flatbush, and I actually did a drive. It was a week before the whole Puerto Rico devastation happened. So I actually did a drive for that, and I ended up doing another drive specifically for Puerto Rico and other areas that were affected by the whole hurricane season is happening right now. So I was doing that. So that's actually another reason I even started a clothing line, because I always, even before I started my clothing line, I was always just giving out clothes, giving out anything I had. So with my name on it, my brand behind it, to be giving out something behind it, to be giving out, things to the less fortunate with my name on it, with my brand, it lets people know that, it's for the cause. So, that's one aspect of it. And I also want to, actually in real estate, I'm moving into sales. So I definitely want to be, in 5 years, well, I would say by this year, a little later on this year, I want to be able to, be in a focus of, different houses or as a listing agent, selling houses and, seeing those consistent checks and to also do other things with that as well. Because like I said, as with apartments and other type of properties, that's how I was able to start my clothing line. But the type of business I can generate with being a listing agent and in sales in general will allow me to do a lot more things at a lot more rapid pace. So like I said, if I can do as much as I can, like I'm doing now, in 5 years, like to the next level, it'll be all the difference. So that's why.
Well, one of the things that you have on your side is time, because you're starting younger. So that's one of the benefits of being able to maneuver things a little bit and be a little bit more riskier in certain things that you're doing from here on in, because you have the time on your side and you can use that to your advantage. In regards to, like, do you have like any other like projects coming up or anything like that you want to announce? Or I know that you have that TV show, so like if you want people to tune in.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't have a specific TV. Well, actually, you can go. Well, Power already passed. But you can see reruns of Power on Stars, on that channel Stars, if you have the channel. I actually did a short film yesterday. I was featured in it by my school, Brooklyn College. So they did a short film over there. Filming another short feature film next week as well. And just like you, I mean, you told me right before we started that you were also, doing a couple of films and things like that. So it's two movie stars in the house right now.
Yes. Well, that was something that just kind of happened very last minute, but I met with a music producer.
Nice.
He has his own film production company. He's also an actor. He's been doing a lot of music. He's been in the music industry for quite some time, and also in the film industry. He has his own clothing line and everything else. So I think you're like the younger version of him.
Oh, okay.
His name is Mikey J.
Okay.
And basically, I had a meeting with him last week, and we were just like talking on the phone. I said, "Hey, I want to have you on the show. I see that you are an entrepreneur. You're doing your own thing," and it kind of like led into a conversation where he was telling me about a film that he's working on now, and then he was like, it was like a trickle effect. It was we started talking about that, and then he was like, "Oh, maybe you want to do a cameo." And I was like, okay, that sounds pretty cool. Then from a cameo, he's like, I think I have a part for you as a role. And then from that role, it kind of went into different characters, because it was like, well, I think that you would fit this. Like when I met him in person, then from there it was like, no, I think that it would be this character. So then I said, okay, I'm just blessed that I'm going to be in the film.
Right.
And then, I went to do a reading, an audition. Yeah. And when I got there, he's like, I was thinking, I think that you would be good playing the role of my aunt. And and then he gave me the dynamics of where I fit in and the character and all of that. And I said, okay, let's do the reading, and I went and did the reading. He liked the reading. The director was there, the director's mom, cool people, and they were like, yeah, no, we like the reading, and yeah, let's. So and then now this particular character is in the movie, and it's throughout the movie per se, so it's not like just like one scene so she kind of is in the background a little bit, but nice. There's a few scenes where she's interacting with his character, which is the main character, and a couple of other. So I'm really excited.
That's excellent.
I'm really excited. And you know what? The other thing too is, if you put something out there, the universe will reply.
Yes,
and
right.
what I mean by that is, if you are dead set about doing something, don't not be afraid to go and put it out there.
Yes,
this podcast, it was a conversation I had with my good friend and partner Willie, And I said, I want to do something. Let's do a podcast. He's like, okay, cool. He started his own podcast as well. And, I've been more focused on doing this one. This has been taking off. Then I said I wanted to do TV. Now I have a TV show. I have 2 TV shows and a third one in the works coming out in December, hopefully.
What?
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Yes, sir. I have another real estate. I have apart from this one, I have another TV show called Coast to Coast. That's comparing the real estate market for real estate investors, basically comparing the East and West Coast. For like portfolio and stuff like that.
That's
so I'm like,
interesting
I'm gonna be traveling and going, talking to people, and in the business and giving their intake of what's going on in the particular markets, and then comparing them with the opposite coast. So whatever you have in New York, obviously you have a similar market in the West Coast. So, that's taking off, and it's going to air next month in November.
Wow.
So I'll let everybody know about that.
Definitely.
This show is being aired Wednesdays at Wednesday 7:00 at Universe Network TV. I believe it's going to be the social TV channel, or the social channel.
Okay.
But I'll find out. I'll let you guys know.
Got it.
So, and then I have another show that I'm working on, and it's basically talking with women, getting their intake about conversations, talking about things that are going on the day-to-day, whether it's about career or relationships and stuff like that. But I don't want to be talking about like the reality shows or the housewives or all that other nonsense. It's talking about really substance, about what's going on in the day-to-day, what's going on in the world, what's going on in certain industries. They give feedback on what in their particular industry, talking about relationships, because the dynamics is it's all diverse women, different backgrounds. Some are divorced, some are single, some are married, some have kids, some don't. So there's a different perspectives from that, and how they balance, their working environment as to with the relationships and things like that. So that's kind of like something that I already spoke to a few people. I just have to find the other women, see if they're down to do this, and then once I have that in place, then then I can make a formal announcement and say, hey, this show is going to be out, at this time.
That's excellent.
So it's in the works. And I have 2 other shows. Two other shows that I'm thinking of doing, probably fashion and food. We shall see.
Are we looking at the next Rachel Ray or something like that?
No, I'm thinking of the next Oprah. Everybody has to.
You know what? Well, just keep me in mind. It's
the fashion one. I'm definitely gonna keep you in mind, for sure.
Definitely.
And, the other thing that I didn't tell you is that this show has a song. I worked with a music producer. It's called "Work That Money," and my music producer Ryan Bowser, awesome guy. We were talking one day, and I said I want a song for my show. So he's like, absolutely. I gave him the concept. The verse, I have to complete the verse. My bad. Ryan, if you're listening, my bad. I'm going to put that verse in. I wrote that verse specifically on the mindset of what goes on when I'm dealing with certain situations. People try to do things to me and everything else. And at the end of the day, you can do whatever you want, or you can try to do things to kind of keep me on, behind. But at the end of the day, it don't work. You can try all you want, but I have things that I do on the side that by the time that you even try to do whatever it is, I'm on to the next thing.
Nice.
And that was one of the things that I put on that verse. Like you try to pull me down and whatever, but I'm on to the next thing. And then it's like, and I'm on the rise like a fiery phoenix. Like that was like one of the verses, not like that, but that's like the take on what I've put in the verse.
Well, I mean, can I like be on a remix or something?
Well, I'm gonna be putting a music video very soon.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, once I have this verse in, the song is completed. It's a verse, and yes, people, I'm gonna be rapping. People are like, "What? You don't
Wow.
look like the type to rap." But yeah, I'm into hip hop. I'm
Whoa.
into rap music. I
Wow.
like it clean, and so the verse is out, and this is going to be like the thing that we're going to be doing. It's going to be released soon. I would say definitely by December. So I'm going to have that out.
Well, keep me in mind for the remix and the video.
And, so like overall, I'm really excited for like the things that you're doing.
Thank you.
I don't know how we got into talking about me.
Yeah, we
but,
covered a couple of things. Yeah.
Yeah, but overall, you have a lot of great things going on. You have your real estate. You stuck by it.
Yes.
You persevered. You're now moving on to the next phase of your real estate career.
Yes.
You have your clothing line
Yes.
that you have out.
Yes.
You're moving that along.
Yes.
And then you're also in the entertainment industry. You're
Yes.
putting yourself out there.
Yeah.
So you are definitely a triple threat entrepreneur, 24 years old, native from Brooklyn, came from a background where you thought law was going to be the case, but you kind of said, you know what,
Peace
I'm
out.
going to be down.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do what I need to do, and
Yeah.
here you are, and
Yes.
I want to see what you're going to be doing in the next few years.
Yeah.
Guys, you guys have to keep an eye on John, see what he's up to. Check him out if you see him with his clothing line. That's WYA.
That's right. Where you at?
Where you at? And also, if you see him on TV, give him a shout out as well.
Yes. And you can also contact me on Instagram, shop SHOPWYA _ Facebook. You can contact me, shopwya.com, DOT.com. Twitter, same way, DOT.com, shopwya.com. You can go on my website, shopwya.com. We have hats, we have hoodies, we have shirts, we have crop tops for the women as well. We have shirts for the women. We have phone accessories or phone cases as accessories. We're coming out with jackets soon. Well, I would say we, but I'm the sole owner of my company, and everything like that. So that's what I have right now. And like again, I appreciate you, having me and different networking with different people like yourself, and talking like how we did. It just shows how much we have in common.
Yeah.
And also shows the different backgrounds we have and how it all comes together in one room, and we wouldn't know that if we weren't talking. So
yeah, I truly believe that people have to take the time to really have a conversation with someone.
Yeah.
I think that that's one of the things that lacking. Technology is great. It's awesome, to connect with people worldwide and be able to put messages out there, but at the same token, we lack when it comes to having that person face-to-face time, and I think that's still very important. Without it, you cannot make a connection. If you don't hold a conversation with someone, you don't know if you have something in common with that person,
true.
And I say this all the time. You can be in a room of 100 people, and somewhere along the line from those 100 people, despite of what you think, you'll find something, at least one thing in common with that person. If you just take the time to be able to hold a conversation with the person and find out what they're all about. And you'll see that we all have something in common. And that's the fact of what brings us together as human beings. And, it's unfortunate about all the things that are going on in this world right now. And it just makes me so sad that people kind of turn their back or they're just hostile and hateful about, and that's not necessary. I think we're all here to coexist. We come from different backgrounds. Let us be.
Yes.
Let us do what we need to do, uplift the other person, support them in what they're doing. And just, I think things would be happier if that was the case.
Of course.
So, guys, we're wrapping things up. One quick question, John.
Yes.
When do you think that you'll have this fashion video? to kind of premiere your clothing line?
It's coming soon. I'm working on it. I'll say in the next couple of weeks, definitely.
Okay.
It'll be on all my platforms, all social media platforms, my website, everything like that. So I'm working on that right now. So it'll be definitely coming soon. Coming soon.
Okay. So here you have it, folks. We'll keep you posted on that, guys. For all you out there, please, if you want to listen in, you can listen in on Bbox radio station live Saturdays 2:30 to 4:30. Also, if you want to reach me, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, it's Work Your Money. If YouTube, it's Work Your Money Podcast. Also, internet, Work Your Money. workyourmoney.net, and also Universe Network TV. It's going to start going on air Wednesday 7 p.m. And guys, until the next time, this is the Work Your Money Podcast. I bid everybody a good evening. Bye.
Good night.